What's up, my beautiful Roseberry Maniac here. It is early in the morning. It's roughly 6 a.m. I wanted to get this up nice and early for you guys because the Monday Night Football games did conclude, honestly, like only 5 hours ago. There were some good games. Much more well played than I expected. Especially with the Antonio Brown news, I thought Oakland would stumble out of that gate a little bit, but they looked fresh. Josh Jacobs looked really, really good, really worthy of the early round fantasy picks that he was getting, which is good. Tyrell Williams honestly looks like a number one in the Oakland system, and their young tight end looks solid as well. New Orleans coming back last minute to kick a field goal, career long field goal for Lutz at the end of the game because Houston decided to play prevent defense and give him the easy yardage. That was a mysterious coaching decision by Houston. But anyway, we are back with power rankings for the NFL Week 2. Now, there are some probably controversial moves, but I'll try to explain them the best that I can. This video might be a little longer, so stay tuned. I do apologize. If you have a civil opinion, I should say, about why someone should move up or move down possibly next week, if there's an aspect of their game that I may not have mentioned, if there's a player that I may not be paying attention to, a young player, like, for example, if you're on Baltimore and I don't mention Hollywood Brown, something like that. Okay, we start with number 32, the Miami Dolphins. There's no words to explain their utter humiliating defeat to the Baltimore Ravens. Not discrediting Baltimore in any way. They played fantastic. Hollywood Brown played fantastic, but the Dolphins were absolutely lifeless. If you play so bad that a rookie gets wide open on you easily twice in a row and has over 100 receiving yards in the first quarter and 2 touchdowns, you got issues. Lamar Jackson, amazing quarterback, but I have never seen such easy throws in my life. There was one throw, I believe it was his 4th touchdown pass or 5th, where he was scrambling to the right and he backpedaled, I believe, 5 or 6 yards and just like lobbed one up towards the back of the end zone, and the Dolphins player just basically looked at the Raven who caught it. It was embarrassing. This Dolphins team, the coaching staff may not be tanking, but you might need to talk to your ownership because they ain't giving you anything. They're giving you like the scrap bin out of the dumpster at the grocery store and calling it coupons. Then we have Tampa Bay at number 31. They dropped 4 spots. Originally didn't have Tampa Bay here. I actually had them a little higher, and then I got to thinking about it. I'm like, is San Fran really that good? Because a problem with me, at least, with power rankings is judging the quality of opponent. And little do I know, I don't think San Fran's that terribly good. And I'll get to that in a second. Jameis Winston struggled like ass. Mike Evans played like ass. The whole running game played like ass. That defense played like ass, except for the pick 6. That was a good pick 6. With this team, they have a lot of potential. Godwin played well. Mike Evans won't play that bad every week. Jameis Winston won't play that bad every week. Neither will that defense. Bruce Arians should turn this around. They might be ranked 31, but honestly, from number 1 through 31 in this whole league, this is probably the most balanced I have ever seen it in my whole life. And I mean that honestly, because if you look at like the bottom teams, like I'll just not in any order. If you look at them, I'd say Denver. You look at their secondary, their monstrous pass rush, and you're like, damn, they can beat anybody if they get some pressure. You look at Indy, and you're like, Mac is a great running back. You have T.Y. Hilton. You have that offensive line, which is really solid. You have Darius Leonard on defense. Any team here is capable of beating anybody. And that's what they proved this week. Tampa Bay proved the opposite. I don't think they're capable of beating anybody. Maybe the bottom tier teams are close enough, but they need to prove what they can do first. Miami, they can't beat themselves. The only person they can beat is themselves. They are just bad. And you have Washington moving up one. This is due to a response of Tampa Bay falling down. Like I said, I wanted to move Washington up more, but there's nothing I could have done to really justify their movement at all. Like more, yeah, they lost, but they lost to a really good Eagles team, and they had to lead 17-0. One reason why I will not move them up more, though, is because I believe it was coaching, and coaching I think limits them a lot, and you're not going to get Case Keenum playing that amazing every week. But one thing that's very promising, and they do deserve a raise for, is their young rookies played well. Vernon Davis played very well. Very emotional game for him with the passing of his grandfather. I hope he's doing well right now, because that kind of stuff can take a toll on you. One reason they don't gain more as well is I believe Darius Geis is out for at least a few weeks, so all you got in the backfield is, I believe, Chris Thompson and Adrian Peterson, and that doesn't bode well personally. I don't think that's going to turn out too well. At number 29, you have the Arizona Cardinals. I don't think Larry Fitzgerald ages at all. People talk about Tom Brady all the time. People talk about maybe Vinatieri. More on him later. People talk about Adrian Peterson, Frank Gore as people who they don't really see aging too much. Well, minus Adrian Peterson, you can kind of tell. But Larry Fitzgerald had such an amazing game in this one. Now, Arizona played well. They really did. If they didn't play like dog shit for the first 3 quarters, they would probably be boosted relatively well. If they played as well in the 4th quarter in overtime, if they played that way the whole game, they would be on the move. David Johnson played well. Fitzgerald played well. Kirk played well. Kyler Murray really picked it up at the end there. The defense played very, very well at the end of the game and got them to a tie, which is odd that they have a tie in the week 1 again. One thing that kind of people might not pay attention to at the end is at the end of the game, with only I think a few seconds left in overtime, Arizona nearly had a pick, which would put them at 1-0. Because they would have kicked the field goal and most likely made it. Because Zane Gonzalez is actually not doing too bad for them. Interesting result, but they tied. They didn't win, but they forced overtime and didn't lose. Then you have Cincinnati at number 28, also moving up 1 spot. Andy Dalton is leading the league in passing yards. That has to be said for something. Running game is going to be hurt with Joe Mixon, I believe, out for a few weeks from what I'm hearing. I don't know how to judge that currently. It might not be as severe. I believe they're running an MRI. If I'm wrong, feel free to correct me. The defense looked better against Seattle. I'm not sure if that says much about Seattle. A very nice surprise would have to be how well John Ross played, if he can keep that up, especially when AJ Green returns. This Bengals team might be on the up and up, which is really good. And you have the New York Giants. This isn't a knock against them. They played pretty well against the Dallas Cowboys team, but that defense looked fucking awful. Dak Prescott had a perfect passer rating, over 400 yards, 4 touchdowns. And Dak Prescott is a really good quarterback. Dak Prescott wouldn't have had such a perfect passer rating if it wasn't for that defense. I have never seen Cooper Kupp, Jarwin, Witten so open before, ever. Even Cobb. Every touchdown pass or long ball that he threw was so wide open that it wasn't even challenging. If you can hit that accurately, any quarterback could have had those numbers. As long as you're accurate, which is good, because being accurate is really good for Dallas. But the New York Giants, their coverage was awful. Their pass rush was awful. Jabril Peppers played well at the beginning, but kind of declined throughout the game. The offensive line looks to be a little better than expected. Saquon Barkley put up some numbers. Eli looked solid-ish. Evan Ingram looked really good, so that's a really good positive. The offensive side of the ball doesn't seem to be the issue. It's the defense with the New York Giants. And that being said, we got San Fran at number 26. I think personally for me, them and the New York Giants are equal. They both struggle as well. You got Jimmy Garoppolo, who looked bad at times, looked good at times. Tevin Coleman, I believe, has a high ankle sprain, is expected to miss, I think, 4 to 6 weeks. I believe is what it said. I'm probably going to be wrong there saying that. But they have Breida as a backup option, who is, you can't ask for really a better backup option as your third running back option after 2 injuries. The wide receivers, they're not good, but San Fran managed anyway. Jimmy Garoppolo, I believe, threw 1 touchdown. The defense got a pick 6, Richard Sherman. Congrats to him. Instead of, like the Giants, with the Giants, they're all offense, no defense. The 49ers aren't offense or defense, but they're not lacking in offense or defense necessarily. They're like 50-50. They have a good offense, they have a good defense. Nothing more, nothing less right now. Like I said, though, from 1 to 31, all these teams are extremely competitive. So San Fran could take a tumble, facing a better team than Tampa Bay, but they could also take a good gain, facing a good, better team. We shall see in week 2. Then you have the Detroit Lions dropping 1 spot to number 25. With a big lead as they had, and the horrible fucking coaching decisions made, I couldn't give Detroit much credit. Johnson looked solid. Amendola looked really good in his Lions debut. But what happened to your acquisitions on the defensive line? Mike Daniels had 1 tackle in like the first quarter and then disappeared. That defensive line could not contain David Johnson near the end of the game. And the weird thing about that is Arizona's offensive line isn't great. So what does that say about your coaching and your game plan and stuff like that? I get it. You weren't knowing what to expect with the air raid offense or whatever, but still, Matt Patricia shit the bed in this one. The whole coaching staff of the Lions shit the bed in this one. They had a win in their hands, and they let it go. And they have Denver at number 24. Originally, I had them swapped with Detroit, but I'm putting Denver here. Joe Flacco struggled. I think, honestly, the whole Denver offense struggled. But they kind of picked it up towards the end. Still, they drop. The defense struggled at the beginning, but picked it up towards the end as well. They made it close. I believe, as far as I know, it was 14-0, and they ended up losing like 24 to 14. So they closed the gap a little bit. Nothing ideal. Bradley Chubb and Von Miller were basically neutralized, which is not good. The secondary allowed some easy touchdowns, or an easy touchdown to Tyrell Williams. Josh Jacobs did really well against their run defense, which is a concern. Joe Flacco looked old. That's the best way to put it, I guess. So they're kind of in the middle of the back. And you get the New York Jets dropping 2 spots. One major concern for the Jets is Sam Darnold looked awful for the most part in his sophomore season debut, I should say. And one issue that I will knock them for and will drop them severely, and you'll notice this with any team that has this issue, is the kicking problem. If your kicker can't make a single kick, you are going to drop. You will lose games. And the Jets will end up being a team that has to sign a new kicker and will probably just go for 2 every single time, because that's the only extra point they converted was a pass to Le'Veon Bell. The kicker missed a field goal and an extra point that would have gave the New York Jets the win over the Buffalo Bills. Let that sink in a little bit. And you have Oakland moving up 3 spots, number 22. 1, Tyrell Williams, like I said, played better at wide receiver 1 than I thought he would. The Antonio Brown drama is behind them. Josh Jacobs looks very solid. That offensive line played a lot better than I thought they would, especially against a pass rusher like the Denver Broncos. I also like the Oakland defense. One thing that concerns me, and one reason that stopped them from gaining more so than you might think, is I believe Garrett Conley is his name. I know it's Conley. I don't know his first name. But he got carted off. They believe he's okay. That's a small concern. That defense is exposable, but they weren't really going up against the best offensive weapons. So this is more of a cautious game than anything. The Cleveland Browns at number 21, dropping 6 spots. Baker looked awful. The team looked solid for the first 3 quarters, but that offensive line is awful. Just like the New York Jets with the kicker, I will not give credit to the Browns with such an awful offensive line. Odell Beckham wore a watch, like a big thick watch, and I don't understand why. That is a huge concern right there as well. The defense looked better for a while, but made some very fucking boneheaded plays. The way they bit on the fucking screen pass to Derrick Henry and let him just romp down the field, it was embarrassing. And at the end of the game, Baker Mayfield was playing absolutely embarrassing. But this is exactly what I mentioned about Tennessee before. Their secondary is fucking dangerous with Logan Ryan, Malcolm Butler, and Beard. I forgot about Beard or whatever is how you pronounce it, so I apologize for that. Cleveland down 6. Still relatively competitive, but I guess I have to see them put something together first. Awful play calling by Freddie Kitchens. Losses on him and Baker Mayfield. The losses on him and the offensive line. Whoever put that offensive line together and thought it was serviceable is a fucking joke. And you have the Jacksonville at number 20, dropping 3 spots. This is more so for Nick Foles than anything. Broken clavicle. Gardner Minshew played fucking lights out in this one. Absolutely lights out when he came into the game. It was absolutely incredible. I think it was like 14-14 to start the game. He threw 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. As a rookie, very first rookie in the 2019 draft class to even take a snap in the NFL, going up against an improved Kansas City Chiefs defense, he lit them up. So they got promising things, but now their backup is Josh Dobbs, who they just acquired from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Their defense looked awful against a Kansas City team that lost Tyreek Hill halfway through the game. They couldn't stop Sammy Watkins. They gave Sammy Watkins at least one of his touchdowns was so wide open, it was ridiculous. You can't do that against Mahomes, especially when you claim you're one of the best defenses in the league. And they got me -4 fantasy points, but thank God I benched their ass. Anyway, the struggle with DJ Shark, by the way, looked really good for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I will say that if you're a Jags fan, he is a player you want to keep an eye on. The major concern, one reason why they dropped besides the defense, is the run game looked virtually non-existent when they needed it. Granted, they were behind early and deep, so that might be one reason why, but still wait and see approach. And we have Buffalo moving up 4 spots to number 19. Josh Allen had some struggles at the beginning, and I will clarify this real quick for any Buffalo Bills fan who wants to be a fucking dick or an idiot. When I say he struggled, did he put up good stats? Did he make smart decisions? Yes. But did he struggle? Yes. And I'll explain that real quick. If you look at Tom Brady's statistics for last year, because you know I'm a New England Patriots fan, people will look at, his interceptions are up or whatever. If you look at 50% of those interceptions, they were on tip balls by Edelman, Hogan. If you look at the AFC Championship game where Max Kellerman likes to point out, Brady would have thrown an interception if it wasn't for that little side penalty. If you look at that, that's because fucking Gronk tipped it. And the Chiefs easily intercepted it. It happens all the time to quarterbacks. But quarterbacks are ultimately responsible. So yes, he struggled. He fumbled the ball twice. On a handoff, even he fumbled it. But he fucking picked it up. He carried the Bills to victory with a rushing touchdown, a nice passing touchdown. Although, personally, the player of the game for me is John Brown. I believe Josh Allen had 280 passing yards or something like that, and half of them were to John Brown. Without a receiver like that, the Bills would have lost. Guaranteed. Singletary also looks very fucking good, and that Buffalo defense looked very solid as well. And they're going to be a good team to watch. One player to watch for them, besides Singletary, definitely has to be Cole Beasley and how he adapts and how his chemistry builds with Josh Allen. And at number 18, we have the Indianapolis Colts moving up 2 spots with a tough overtime loss to the Los Angeles Chargers. Marlon Mack had like 198 yards, something like that. He was absolutely fucking incredible. I'm exaggerating. He had close to that, which is absolutely insane. T.Y. Hilton played really well. I think Jacoby Brissett played really well as well. One thing they struggled with is defensively stopping Keenan Allen, and Austin Eckler made some bad tackles, bad decisions, stuff like that. But I'm not going to knock him for that. The plays where Keenan Allen got a touchdown, where Eckler got that touchdown in overtime, where Eckler got that long receiving touchdown, they played it very well. They were in position to stop it. They just didn't. So their execution wasn't exactly there, but the play calling looked solid. The players look solid. Their potential looks very solid. They should definitely be playoff contenders by the end of the year. And at number 17, we have the Atlanta Falcons, who were absolutely lifeless in the first half of the game. Julio Jones, I believe, received a check for $64 million as a signing bonus for the next 3 years or something like that. I'm not sure exactly how that extension works, but with that money, and how he played Sunday, he instantly became the most overpaid wide receiver in the league. He did not play like a $22 million a year receiver. He played like a $8 million a year receiver easily. He didn't show up at the beginning, and I don't know if it was Matt Ryan. I didn't watch the game, so I'm not dissing Julio Jones, but that's the kind of thing where Julio Jones making that much money is going to be like, okay, I'm going to get open, Matt Ryan. Just throw me the ball. Randy Moss it, put your hand up, catch it, do whatever you can, just catch it. Just Matt Ryan has to throw it to him too. He has to throw better balls to him. People said if Matt Ryan had Bill Belichick as a head coach, he would have won all 9 Super Bowls. Bitch, you see how Matt Ryan played? If he had Bill Belichick as a head coach, he wouldn't have fucking made it to 9 Super Bowls. Run game was non-existent for much of it, but they fell down early. Kirk Cousins attempted 10 passes, and the Vikings dominated them. It was awful. I'm going to start the top 16 by prefacing this first. I did record these 2 sections separately, so I'm just letting you know that. One thing about this NFL season is I think there's literally 20 legitimate Super Bowl contenders. Like, if you say this team won it, you could see it happening. Granted, some would take certain circumstances, but you could see it happening. We start that off by saying with number 16, we have the Carolina Panthers doing a rare feat, gaining 2 spots off a loss. I think they played really well at the end of the game. Christian McCaffrey was an absolute monster. The defense played well. Rush defense could have played better, but they made Jared Goff look a little silly every now and then, which is fun, I should say. Cam Newton didn't look too good. DJ Moore looked very good for the Panthers. If Cam Newton in the passing game steps up, this team could be extremely, extremely dangerous. At number 15, you have the Pittsburgh Steelers dropping 8 spots as our biggest wah of the week, because they played like absolute dog shit against the New England Patriots. And this is a New England Patriots team that I don't even think is the best team in the NFL right now. As a Patriots fan, I'm being cautiously optimistic, so I'll explain by saying that. The run game, James Conner got like 10 rushes for 20 yards. The pass game, Dante Moncrief couldn't catch a damn thing. Juju getting shadowed by Stephon Gilmore for most of the game. Didn't really get anything until garbage time. Vance McDonald got nothing until garbage time. The defense couldn't stop anybody. Philip Dorsett wide open, couldn't tackle Josh Gordon. Rex Burkhead tore him up in the run game. James White tore him up a little bit. They stopped Sonny Michel a little bit. And one thing I will say about the Steelers, being in the top 15, and one big positive going forward for any Steelers fan maybe watching this, Devin Bush looked really good for pretty long stretches. He made some bad plays. Obviously, he's a rookie. There will be some of those going forward. But he looked very, very solid. I actually told someone on Twitter he looked like a 5-6 year vet. And even 5-6 year vets make mistakes every now and then. So it's going to be some growing pains. I'm looking for Justin Lane maybe to contribute more. Wonder what they're going to do with that open roster spot now that they traded Dobbs away to the Jacksonville Jaguars. It should be interesting. Hopefully nothing happens to Big Ben, because then you're stuck with just Rudolph. You have Tennessee moving up 5 spots to number 14 off of the strength of their defense. Mariota, around 50% completion percentage, didn't play particularly amazing. He did play better than probably most people expected. One player that shined and I knew would shine is Delaney Walker. He's an amazing tight end capable of many things, and he's finally healthy. Derrick Henry was absolutely incredible. Dion Lewis was kind of ghosty there for a big stretch of the game, but they didn't really need him. In the fourth quarter, that defense lit up. I think Beard, Butler, and Ryan all got interceptions, and Malcolm Butler got a pick six, which really helped the Titans. They won by 30. That's no joke. It'll be interesting to see how they handle the next 3 weeks. If they can end the next 3 weeks at 3-1, this could seriously be a top 10 title competing team. But Mariota has to stay healthy. Mariota has to make smart decisions. It's probably this season's gonna ride on Mariota. He has to take the next step. And you have Houston staying at number 13. They could have gained, they could have lost, and this one was tough. Again, coaching kind of cost them. That prevent defense at the end was just stupid. Giving Drew Brees like 40 seconds left at the end of the game was just stupid. I like how Deshaun Watson played. He played fantastic. DeAndre Hopkins played fantastic. Hyde and Duke Johnson both played really well in the run game, considering they haven't been with the team for that long. The defense, J.J. Watt was non-existent. I think they're missing Jadeveon Clowney. The defense played better against the Saints than many would expect. They did get an interception off of Drew Brees, but they allowed Taysom Hill to believe to get a receiving touchdown. That's tough. That's very fucking tough, man. I don't really have much else to say about Houston. They played well, but they did end up losing, and their defense and coaching seem to be the weak spots here. And then you have number 12, Chicago Bears, dropping 7 spots. They're probably going to be on a plummet, honestly. The only reason why they haven't dropped further, because Mitch Trubisky fucking sucks, is the fact that Montgomery showed a lot of promise. And even though he showed a lot of promise, they kept giving the ball to Mike Davis. Even though Montgomery, I thought, played very well at the beginning. They didn't let him get into a rhythm, and that ended up hurting him. He ended up having, I believe, 5 rushes for 18 yards, somewhere around there. They missed Trey Burton, you can tell, in that offense, but that defense limited to Aaron Rodgers to 10 points off of one fluky touchdown drive. And I don't mean fluky as in, oh my god, I was just so lucky. Aaron Rodgers played like shit for 95% of that game. That one drive where he went like 9 for 9 and a touchdown won them that game. It was just one drive that he played perfectly, and that was all he needed. That was it. The Bears couldn't do anything, but defensively they played freaking lights out. Amazing. Mack played well. That whole defensive line played well. The secondary played well. That dumbass interception at the end of the game by Mitch Trubisky kind of cost the Bears. But if Mitch can step up, if he can fucking step up for once, if he can actually prove he can carry a team more than a dead fish carries diseases, then they might have a chance. So I'm being cautiously optimistic based on the strength of the defense, but that offense is booties. And then you have Seattle gaining 1 spot with a good win over Cincinnati. It's tough to judge them, where Cincinnati I didn't think was a good team to begin with. How much of it was on Seattle. DK Metcalf had a very solid game. I will say that defense allowed 400 passing yards. In a division where you have Jimmy Garoppolo, Kyler Murray, and Jared Goff, if your passing defense can't eliminate them, you're going to be having issues. It's not that any of those 3 are elite throwers, but if you can't defend the pass, they're going to be able to throw on you. Like, a really good pass defense should be able to handle those guys, but it doesn't even look like they have that. Wagner, though, still looks really solid. Seattle got the win. That's the important thing. Another week in the system for Jadeveon Clowney. Heading forward, Seattle could be top 10 next week. And leapfrogging the Seattle Seahawks and kind of slowing down their forward momentum is the Green Bay Packers at number 10, moving up 4 spots. Off the strength of their defense, they played very well. all their additions, Adarius Smith, Pinnell, all those guys, they played very well. Aaron Jones played well, but I'm very fucking confused at how they used him, because watching the game, it seemed like they gave Jamal Williams almost all the carries, and it's very mystifying because Aaron Jones is your most talented back, but you're not giving him the ball. Adams kind of had a no-show of a game against a tough defense. Aaron Rodgers didn't play too well, but he played well. The offensive line played relatively well, and that defense is a lot better than I thought it would, mainly because I didn't think it would click together so early where they have so many new additions. But yeah, definitely think they're a top 10 team. Yeah, Chargers at number 9. They stay even, and one of the biggest things here is their kicker Bagley was injured, so they had to have someone else kick the field goals in this one. So they had their punter kick the field goals, and I believe he was 1 for 1 on field goals and 3 for 3 on extra points. It was fucking incredible. That dude is a beast, and I can't believe it took him so long to get into the league. He's a 26-year-old rookie. So I wonder what they're going to do with him moving forward, because there's a lot of teams struggling for a good kicker. If I was the Chargers, now, this is risky business. Now, proposition, listen here. If I was the Chargers and Bagley came back completely healthy, I would trade the punter / kicker to the Jets, because Vedvik cannot make shit. Vedvik couldn't fucking make you sick if he had Ebola. He is so fucking bad. I would trade the punter kicker to the Jets because they absolutely need a kicker. Maybe get a 6th, 7th round draft pick back. And as a punter, I would fucking sign Ryan Allen. He's a really good punter who doesn't have a job yet. So it's not like you're missing a lot there. And I think he'd be good to go. Offense looked really well. Eckler looked fucking amazing. Hunter Henry kind of didn't show up much, so the passing game's going to need to improve a little bit. Other than Hunter Henry, they showed up, but still, I'm thinking about if you're going head-to-head against the Kansas City Chiefs, you need all cylinders clicking. And you got Minnesota Vikings moving up 2 spots to number 8. Anthony Harris, the undrafted guy, had 2 interceptions on Matt Ryan. That defense played amazing. Dalvin Cook played fucking amazing. And how dangerous is your team if you can win while only passing 10 times? I mean, that has to fucking say something here. 10 passes and you freaking dominate the Falcons? Holy shit. The defense is just as good as I thought it would be. And that offense is more balanced than I thought it would be. They have Baltimore moving up 4 spots to number 7, leapfrogging Minnesota, kind of leapfrogging LA a bit as well. Minnesota moves up to number 2 because Baltimore moves up to number 7. I don't know why I said number 2. Baltimore moves up to number 7 because Lamar Jackson showed he can take that next step. He can be a passer. Mark Ingram looked really fantastic in that offense. And Hollywood Brown, although he only played 8 snaps, had his first 2 possessions caught for long-ass touchdowns. It was just absolutely incredible. Defense looked a lot better than I thought it would be, but they were playing against the Dolphins, so I'm being cautious with Baltimore. I don't think they're quite top 5 yet, but if the defense can play that well against an actual, legitimate contending team, it's going to say a lot. And you have Philadelphia at number 6, gaining 2 spots with a comeback win over the Washington Redskins. Granted, they probably shouldn't be top 6 in most people's books because of how they played at the beginning, but how they clicked at the end, how Carson Wentz played at the end, how that defense played at the end, all means a lot. And plus, one credit I have to give to Philadelphia is Deshaun Jackson played absolutely amazing. The combination of him with Carson Wentz is going to be fun to watch this year. And you have Dallas at number 5, moving up 1 spot. And I'm kind of thinking almost dyslexic a little bit. The reason why I said Baltimore was number 2 is because there was a number 2 near them, and I read the 2 and just splat it out. But anyway, Dallas is number 5. Run game looked very solid but slow. Ezekiel Elliott didn't accumulate as many yards as you would think, especially when they were up by so many against the Giants. Amari Cooper played really well. Jarwin played really well. Gallup played really well. Cobb played really well. The offensive line played really well. The defense played pretty well. But that defense didn't allow the Giants to get open quite a bit. So that's a small concern there. The litmus test, though, the strength of opponent, I didn't think was really there. Like, yes, Dak Prescott had a perfect pass rating. He played fucking absolutely amazing, 400 yards, 4 touchdowns. But almost all of his touchdowns were completely wide open receivers. It's going to be when he has to throw that contested guy. Can he fit it in that window kind of thing? Will he step up? I'm not discounting the Cowboys. After all, they are top 5. These top 5 teams are probably the most likely Super Bowl contenders in the league. Like, there's only 2 NFC teams in here, so that would mean that or 3 NFC teams. So that would mean Dallas has a really, really high chance, according to my power rankings, to make the NFC Championship game. So don't fret, Cowboys fans. Head coaching seems to be okay. I like Kellen Moore's system for the offense. And then you have New Orleans at number 4, dropping a spot. Off of a solid win, there's really no reason to drop them, except for the fact that the competition at the top's so tough. It's not that they took a step back. Mind you, if this was a race and the Saints are driving a car at 200 miles an hour, it's not that they slowed down at all. It's just that the car behind them started running at 220. You know what I mean? They got passed, not because of something they did, because of something the other team did. So, top 4 team, probably most likely NFC Championship contender. It should be good to see. And then at number 3, we have the New England Patriots gaining a spot. I gained them up a spot, not more than 1 to number 3, even though Antonio Brown's signing with the team, because Philip Dorsett looked really good, Josh Gordon looked good, Edelman looked good. The tight end position looks to be an absolute weakness. The 3-headed running back by committee with the full back hanging out on the side kind of thing looked good. Brady looked pretty damn good. I believe he was 24 for 36. That defense looked shutout good. But it's cautiously optimistic as a Patriots fan, because I don't know if the Steelers are that good of a team right now. Like, after week 1, I don't even know if Juju Smith can handle being a number 1 wide receiver. I got question marks. That need answering. Patriots are looking to have another... They're looking to go easily 6-0 because of the weak schedule they have to start the year. Next week they have the Dolphins. So we'll see how they play, because they often struggle in Miami. But if they struggle this week, Saints can have the 3rd spot, because fuck the Patriots. They better not struggle in Miami. And you have KC at number 2. I did hesitate to put KC up here, mainly because they lost Tyreek Hill for, I think, roughly 6 weeks, which is a huge blow. Sammy Watkins is not going to get that many yards and touchdowns every day. Travis Kelce probably isn't going to show up like that every day, because some teams without Tyreek Hill will neutralize Travis Kelce, or at least try to. One huge bright spot for the Chiefs is they have a legitimate 2 running back system now. Before, with Kareem Hunt, or even last year with Damian Williams, they didn't really have, to me, a legitimate 2 running back system. Even when it was Kareem Hunt and Damian Williams, it was more, let's run Hunt, and just put Damian Williams in when he needs rest. This looks like any down at all, LaShawn McCoy could pound it, or Damian Williams could pound it. If you do not know the script of the Chiefs, it could split carries 4 and 4 every down. Every drive, and you would not know, because it's so balanced. They both play so well. LaShawn McCoy looked really good. Williams looked really good. That defense got chewed up by a rookie, but I'm gonna chalk that up to right now not having any game tape whatsoever on Gardner, not knowing what he really does. They did kind of take out Nick Foles, so that kind of sucks for him. But it's most interesting to see how exactly that Tyreek Hill injury affects them. Usually, if there's a big star going down, I kind of knock people down a little bit. But this offense is extremely potent, and Patrick Mahomes is really good. So I have to take the wait and see approach for that. And then at number 1, we have the Los Angeles Rams again. I know, I'm playing the fiddle in the same tune kind of thing. That defense looked really, really good against Carolina. Their run defense didn't look so good, but they were playing against one of the best running backs in the league in Christian McCaffrey. Run CMC, as some people, as the promo for Thursday Night Football calls him, played really, really fucking well. So the Rams do have a concern. Goff did not play too well, but they have a legitimate three-headed running back monster. They don't have to play Gurley all the time. And that is a very underrated thing in this system. I think this makes this team even more dangerous. Because any down, they could gouge you with Brown, they could gouge you with Gurley, they could gouge you with Henderson, I believe is the rookie. They're all three of them are very damn capable of running, especially, Todd Gurley, obviously. Cooper Kupp looked really good. Woods looked really good at the end. Cooks, that three-headed wide receiver. Higbee looked really good as well. Got to give him credit. And overall, I more so did not see a reason to put any team over LA. With the cautious optimism of New England, New Orleans struggling to put away Houston, Kansas City with the injury, I think LA lives atop for another week. Anyway, guys, picks should be out tomorrow. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.